My great grandmother, who was born in like 1896, passed down to my grandmother and my mom this exercise. You have to do this all day. Hey, I'm Issa Rae, and today I'm gonna be reviewing some of the wildest wellness trends on the internet.
Hey Issa, Zara Barnes here. I'm Self's executive editor. I'm here to let you know what health experts really think about these wild wellness trends.
Come on, Zara, come through.
First up, garlic to clear congestion.
I'm not sure how long you're supposed to leave this in for, but we'll check in later. Okay, one fell out, so I had to replace it. There's already things happening inside me right now. Okay.
Ew, what?
Yo, this is so gross. That was disgusting, but I'm doing it again because
Girl,
I'm obsessed now.
There's so many ways to clear congestion. Like Vicks Vapor Rub is key for me. I don't need to put garlic in my nose. You can put garlic in tea. Make a garlic paste, put that shit on your feet, but putting it directly in your nose, like, no, I absolutely would not try that. The way that the snot was just dripping down her nose, it seemed like maybe it worked, but that's just not my method. I think Zara would think it's desperate. I think Zara would feel like there are better ways and that you shouldn't take health advice from TikTok.
Some TikTok users are putting entire cloves of raw garlic up their noses in order to clear up congestion. This tactic might look really effective because of the flood of stuff that comes out of their noses once they remove the garlic. But doctors are pretty clear on the fact that not only does this not work, it can actually be harmful. All of that liquid you see coming out of people's noses when they remove the garlic just means their noses are having an inflammatory reaction to something that does not belong up there. Raw garlic has all of these oils and compounds that can be really irritating to your nose's mucosa, which is the mucous membrane linings. That inflammation and irritation can lead to a ton of mucus. Also worth noting, you can get that garlic stuck up there, and no one wants to go to the ER to get garlic removed from their nose.
Well, to that I said duh.
Next, we have a dance workout trend on TikTok called hip thrusting.
They just turned crunches into a dance. You're not fooling anybody. I would be embarrassed to do this in public, but if you put drinks in my system, I might do that. I honestly think it's a legit, any dancing is a good form of exercise, so I would imagine that Zara approves.
So I talked to a personal trainer on Self's staff about this one, and the concept of spot reduction, or reducing fat on certain areas of the body with certain exercises, it's been pretty well debunked. That said, this type of hip thrusting movement can actually be a good part of your workout if the moves are originating from your core and you are squeezing your glutes each and every time you thrust forward. You don't want to just rely on your hip mobility and joints for this one, especially because with any repetitive movement like this, if you do it for long enough, you risk an overuse injury. Our trainer did note you'd have to hip thrust a lot for that to happen, but it's still worth remembering. Technically, hip thrusting does actually engage the abdominal muscles, though not better than traditional core moves like planks or even full body moves like squats. So there's no reason you have to hip thrust if you want to work your core. With that said, if you do it correctly, and that is engaging your core, squeezing those glutes when you thrust forward, it can be a good part of your workout.
That makes sense to me.
Okay, Issa, here is the next clip.
You could mix the shit together and drink it. I just don't understand what the emergency is where you're like, I gotta, and then, it's just, you don't need to do that. The protein powder is made to mix, and she could have choked. It's like the cinnamon powder challenge, all these things that people do. And I was sure that it was gonna backfire, so congrats, girl, you did it. If Zara thinks this is acceptable, I'd be surprised.
So dry scooping is when people put a scoop of dry pre-workout powder directly into their mouths instead of following the instructions by first mixing it with water or another liquid and then drinking it. The goal is to boost the supposed effects of pre-workout powder, mainly by increasing your energy. There are multiple reasons why people should not do this. For starters, the FDA doesn't regulate supplements, which means you don't ever know exactly what you're getting or in what quantities those ingredients are coming. In general though, with that said, pre-workout supplements tend to contain a lot of caffeine. So when you take pre-workout undiluted, you can deal with symptoms like jitters or an elevated heart rate. Some people have even said they've had medical emergencies when doing the dry scooping challenge, which is just not what you want. Also, trying to swallow a huge clump of dry pre-workout powder can be a choking hazard, and it can cause breathing troubles, especially for people with conditions like asthma.
You know what? I'm glad she said the point number 2 about the fact that it could, increase caffeine and your adrenaline and your heart could start racing. I feel like that was take 4 for her. She just got it right. And she tried to pass it off as like, take 1, I did it right. So we caught you. Zara always knows.
All right, next we have a couples core challenge trend.
Let me not be a hater, because maybe there are a lot of couples that like to work out together and that need motivation. Because my first instinct is like, y'all got each other. Like, what do you need to just do it together and shut up? There are couples that want to get a workout routine together. Maybe they might be inspired by this particular couple and their techno moves. So I feel like Zara will be optimistic and supportive.
I talked to one of the personal trainers on Self Staff about this one, and she says not only is it just pretty cute, but it actually is a good way to get a good core workout in. This couple is hitting most of their major muscle groups with these moves, so their glutes, their core, their shoulders, their legs. But if you only did this for as long as they do it, that is pretty quick, so it's not necessarily going to be a full workout, but it can give you a great burst of energy. And if you want, you could incorporate these moves into a longer workout for a really good body weight challenge. With that said, doing these moves correctly with proper form is essential to getting any benefits from them. For example, if you're not keeping your core relatively stable during the plank moves and your butt is high up in the air, that means you're not engaging your core fully during the plank. So doing this for speed might not be the best option if you're new to these moves or new to exercising in general. But if you can do these moves with speed and proper form, then it's definitely a good way to just have fun working out and get a good core and cardio blast.
Listen, I mean, good for them, Great. I'm personally not impressed, but I'm happy for them, and I hope they last forever.
Last up, we have a jaw exercise for you.
I want to see it before and after. It's so funny because my great-grandmother, who was born in like 1896, passed down to my grandmother and my mom this exercise. And it got to me, where my mom was like, you have to do this all day. Like, you just have to exercise your jaw like that. So the fact that someone has made money off of a human chew toy, as it's described, is crazy to me. I'm curious to see the results, because you know what? I might try it. I might.
So some people have been chewing on these little plastic devices aimed to give their jaw muscles a workout and actually change the shape and appearance of their jaws. The truth is that facial exercises may be able to actually give your face muscles a workout. This doesn't mean you're necessarily going to see any noticeable results from working out your jaw in this way, especially because your facial muscles are really small. On top of that, you would have to be extremely dedicated and consistent with this type of device in order to see any type of noticeable effect. Even then, it would probably be pretty minimal. But if you're into this trend for whatever reason, experts say go for it. They're not really too concerned about potential harms.
You know what? She didn't say that it wasn't gonna work. And honestly, that's all I need to know. So shout out to my great-grandmother, who was ahead of her time.